Injury report: Chris Baker did not participate. Sean Laval was limited. Jordan Reed did not participate. Trent Williams did not participate, and Trent Murphy was full participation.
Jay, I guess we'll start off with the 49ers have had some serious injuries on defense, and yet that group is still playing at a pretty high level. What are you seeing on film from them, and who's filling in, and who's kind of taking the reps from those guys that have gone down, the big name guys?
Yeah, well, the same. You hear about Bowman and Patrick Willis not being on the field, and you're like, phew. Then Borland steps up, and he's playing very, very well. Obviously, their pass rush has always been good. Justice Smith is very tenacious on the inside, and of course the outside guys with Ahmad Brooks, and now they got Alden Smith back. The rookie from South Florida is doing some good things. They have solid players all across the board, and then the secondary is doing an outstanding job too with the coverage that they're playing. Man-to-man, they can play man, they can play zone. They can bring pressure if they need to. So they give you a lot of different looks, but consistently they stop the run and force you into some third down and longs and make it tough on you with the amount of coverages they play.
Jay, with Borland, who does he remind you of? The obvious comparison would be Zach Thomas, but he looks a little bit different from what I remember. Who does he remind you of?
Yeah, I don't know. I would say probably that's a pretty good. He's just not a very tall guy out there, but he's like a little fire hydrant running around there making all the plays. He can cover in space and very instinctive. You want your linebackers to be instinctive, and he's got great natural instincts for the position. He sniffs out screens. He can go sideline to sideline. And then if you run at him, he's got the power to take on fullbacks and of that nature. So he's just a good all-around football player, and he's stepped up to fill a void that you would think would be damn near impossible to fill with Patrick Willis and Bowman, but he's done an excellent job.
Coach, if Morgan Moses does end up starting for Trent Williams, he's going to have a pretty tall assignment there in Alden Smith. How do you get him ready for a challenge like that, and do you think he's up to it?
Well, we hope so. I think he'll be ready for it. He's a very calm kid. He's very laid back. Hopefully he gets up a little bit more. He's going to have to. It's going to be a great challenge for him, whoever comes off that side. Like I said, their edge pressure has been good all year long, and they've got 3 or 4 guys that can get there. So his technique's got to be sound. They do a great job with the stunts also that have given us trouble. So, and then, of course, the blitz recognition, he's got to do a good job with that. But just from a one-on-one standpoint, Morgan's long, and I think he'll do a good job and compete in that regard. But he's got to do a good job in the run game also, getting up on the right people. We'll see. For your first start to be thrown out there at San Francisco, it's like, hey, it's a tough one. But they're all tough in the NFL, and I think he'll do fine.
Coach, when you look at their offense, it seems like they're struggling, at least statistically. But when you look at them on film, do you see some things that they're still doing well that's 49er football? Yeah,
they don't turn the ball over a lot, and they don't take a lot of unnecessary risks, which is smart because they know they have very good defense. And when it's time to punt, they punt, and they play a very good defense. So, they could be a little bit more wide open. They do a good job of mixing their personnel groupings, their formations, all that stuff to keep you off balance. And they got a great variety of things they can do with Colin, obviously, with the quarterback design runs, the read option, the rollouts, the bootlegs, all that stuff that Colin can do to keep you off balance. But really, when you look at them, I feel like they want Frank Gore to be the guy and pound you between the tackles and then hit the play actions off of it. And then, of course, they got the receivers with Stevie Johnson, Anquan Bolden, and it's a good football in Crabtree, obviously. So it's a dang good football team with weapons all across the board and a system that keeps you off balance.
Jay, you touched on this, I think, earlier in the week, but if I could ask you to elaborate. It's on the question of starting or folding in some of the younger players as the season comes to a close. What do you see as kind of the pros and cons of that, particularly at your positions of need, maybe guard and safety, where there's been some injuries or underperformance? Do you see a scenario where, Spencer Long gets any time, or?
Yeah, we'll have guys that might get some time. They got to earn it. For us to take a starter out and put a young guy in, the young guy has to earn a spot. That's number one. We're not just going to do that. This isn't D-League trying to develop players. We're still trying to win games, and then you lose I think players will lose the fact that you're trying to win games if you start doing that. So I think the big focus is we're going to try to win each game that we play, and if a young guy deserves to play, he'll play. And we've got a number of young guys that are developing and playing key roles already. And maybe later on in the year, some other guys will start to step into some roles if they, earn the right.
Jay, specifically about the footwork with Robert and from what happened last week, was that just a game thing and he wasn't doing that in practice, or was he kind of doing that in practice and it carried over to the game and you guys just weren't, for whatever reason, able to correct it?
Well, I think there was a few instances where his footwork was off base, off kilter with the drops that matched the plays that we called. And no, that doesn't take place in practice, Sometimes in the games, like I said, he might see somebody flash and he's, quickens up his feet or what have you. Sometimes live pass rush can alter your footwork from time to time. We just got to keep coaching him, make sure he trusts his footwork, because all of our plays are very important that the footwork matches up with the concept. And that didn't take place. It wasn't like it was every snap. It was a few critical ones, but we just got to keep coaching them up. And that's the one thing that you have to do as a quarterback, young quarterback. You want to make sure when you go into a game, that's the last thing you're thinking about. I mentioned that before. And if you're thinking about, okay, what drop do I have? Okay, now what's the protection? Okay, now what's the route concept? Okay, now I got to read the coverage. That's too much to think about in about a 9-second span. You know what I mean? So that stuff has to come natural, and that'll come with more and more repetition.
Jay,
Ryan,
sorry, go ahead.
Ryan Kerrigan's the last guy to make an excuse for anything, but he's had that wrist injury the couple of games, and of course he's playing without Rack on the other side. How much have you seen of that, if any, affect his game, and obviously have you seen him persevere through all that?
No, I haven't seen any injury report, so this is the first I heard of it. I think initially when he did it in the game, I can remember when he did it, he was a little sore, but if it's still bothering him, hopefully he's getting the necessary treatment. But, I don't know what he's feeling. Hopefully he gets healthy for San Fran, but I got to, I'll look into that one.
Coach, the thought going into any matchup with an NFC West team is that it's going to be a very physical, hard-nosed matchup. Do you think that having played 2 games already this season against NFC West teams in Seattle and Arizona, that kind of helps prepare them, knowing what they're going to get themselves into maybe? Or do you think that in the first 2 games they might have been a little shocked with that physicality?
I don't think their division's any more physical than a lot of teams that we play. They are physical, not to say they're not physical, but we've played some darn physical teams already. I think every team in the NFL brings some physicality. San Fran is known for their physical play up front, especially on offense, where they come off the ball and they do their double teams and they, do the power blocking. And, if you're not ready to mix it up with them, they'll dominate you at the line of scrimmage, and they've shown that they can do that. And defensively, obviously, they are physical at the 3-4 that they play. They got the inside guys. But you're right, we do have to go down there and match the physicality. Otherwise, it'll be a rough day for us. But they're totally different in my mind than the way Seattle plays and the way Arizona plays. But they are physical. There's no question. I got to give it to them.
Anything else? Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.